decided that today is probably an okay day to go into the hive. I was actually planning for tomorrow, but today works just fine. We've seen a couple of days of orientation flights, flight school for the bees. I'm really interested to see what the population is doing inside the beehive. If I need to expand the hive, I'm prepared to do so. There was a question or comment made on the last video by Jamie, my sister, or one of my sisters, who asked why I was putting so much sugar water in if they're not going to drink it if they don't need it. And the truth is, you're right and I'm wrong-ish. What's happening isn't so much that they're drinking quart upon quart, gallon upon gallon of sugar water. What they're actually doing is collecting it and moving it down into the brood box. So what you see from the bottom, and I got to explain this because a lot of people don't understand that whole thing is not the beehive. The bees are only in the bottom brood box. The thing just above the brood box is the top hive feeder, and above that is the top cover, which isn't really doing anything. All right, so the bees cannot get higher than the bottom of the top hive feeder, and the reason that's significant is a beehive is determined. The size of the beehive is determined by what the bees can defend. The bees can't get can't get over or through that top. So the top hive feeder is actually serving as their top cover. What that means to the bees is their hive internal is below that, and everything above that is external to the hive. So what has been happening is the bees are finding the sugar water above the hive and thinking, wow, this is a good resource, we should really move this in. So they go up, they collect the sugar water, they go down, and they put it into the frames for storage. That will eventually be mixed with nectars and pollens, or not nectars, but pollens, and will go towards honey production, or they'll just drink it as sugar water because they're thirsty and they want to. So I expect that over the last 10 days we've had a couple of quarts of sugar water added, and that would be kind of a high consumption for them to actually just drink. So I suspect a lot of that sugar water is stored in the frames, and I'd like to see what that looks like as well. Anyway, we'll go in just a few minutes and see what this whole thing looks like. And if we need more space in there, then we'll expand to 2 brood boxes and just move the top cover up and give them more access to more of the frames to a second brood box. So here we go for today's hive inspection. I have the smoker lit, I have gloves. We still don't have Kimberly's jacket in, so I'm in just a regular Columbia shirt. By the way, her jacket gets here on Tuesday, according to Amazon. Down below is the second brood box. It's already prepared with a pollen patty and 2 beetle traps. I suspect we do have a hive beetle issue. When I pulled the bottom cover, there were some hive beetles wandering around the bottom cover, so they're probably elsewhere. Besides, they're pretty common when feeding pollen patties anyway. All right, so first thing is to let them know we're here. There was a lone guard sitting there on the front deck. Had his tail up and everything. He's like, I'm ready for you. All right, we'll let that sit for just a sec. And again, what I was describing not this morning, was that only the bottom brood box is in use. So the second brood box is over there, and the super is over here. The only reason they're here is to keep from having to store them. I don't want to store them and have them take up space that we're using to move in. So I just leave them on the hives. They don't have access to them. All right. Now this is not breaking the top cover. The top cover is actually down here. Wow, they're really looking for more food. I've got, I know you can't approach, but got maybe 8 bees in the ramp. remember, you're not wearing gloves.
No.
Fighting with my hive tool already. Give the bees a full puff of smoke before we go in. They've been pretty calm all day, but I suspect that will rile them up a bit. The smoke does cause a bit of angst for the bees. Also, what it does is, and I've been studying this as well. Also, what it does is it disguises the pheromones that the bees use to communicate with each other. So if one bee panics, the bees around him won't panic because they can't smell him panicking. Essentially. All right, you ready?
Sure.
Okay, I don't see the queen down here. They're going to want to fly a bit, so I'll just leave this out. Those pollen patties are obliterated. And they're clearly on more frames. Ignore me. Hold your breath. I can't see the smoke. I can smell it.
I can't see it either.
It is having no visual effect. I assume that means my smoker is ineffective at this point.
Oh, there you go. Now you have smoke anyway.
There is smoke. Yeah, alright. Alright, look guys, I know for a fact you don't like being poked. So I need my smoker to work well. Wow. I see you. Yes, you as well. Got a couple of bees that I can't move because the smoke's not doing anything. I don't want to crush them. That's bad. well, that time it actually seemed to have some of an effect anyway. Very light work done on this frame. Of course, this is a foundation frame, so I don't see any work being done on it. But they're wandering. That makes me happy. There is some really nice work being done. I don't know if you can see that. This up here. Still don't have my frame hangers, so I'm putting these on the floor, which is very bad. Just a vector for pests to get in. What's that box? Oh. Well, that got them riled up.
Yeah, it did. They're kind of all over you.
You guys have been so calm all day. It's a beautiful day. By the way, it's a beautiful Saturday. What is it? 70, 75 today? Okay, look. I need to see this frame. I know you guys are excited. You need to not be. Okay. Again, mostly still working on comb. Lot of storage. I was talking about the sugar water being stored. Stop it. You can see the sugar water in some of the combs if you look closely. A lot of pollen too. They're bringing in pollen. I've got reds and yellows. I'm going to try without stirring them up.
Maybe. Okay.
Okay. And we have more pollens and sugar water over here. You know, they're active right now, but they're being really calm. I mean, no one's bumped into my veil. No one's threatening me yet. I've got one that's pretty clear I'm a bad person. He's been buzzing around my ears since we started. That was kind of a lot. There is, and I know you can't see it from there, and I apologize. There is a lot of propolis today, so they've been working hard on sticking the frames together. Wow, look at that brood. It's a much stronger brood pattern than last week. You know, we saw a lot of larvae, but not really brood. They're growing. They're growing.
Oh, I don't think it likes your black
You don't
phone
think it likes
case.
my what?
Your black phone case.
You may be right. Wow, okay, I know you can't see this. Try and get close. There's a bee at the 7 o'clock position that has absolutely full pollen sac. She's wandering around. He's got big ol'. He's just looking for a place to put his pollen. There's another one almost dead in the center of the frame, just to the right. My right, your left. See him with the orange baskets? His baskets are absolutely full. Hey, you're on my finger. Why are you on my finger?
Oh, that was dumb. I should have.
What's that?
Oh, I realized it. Hang on. It won't let me zoom because I'm on super
Right.
steady, but I can do that. Okay.
Alright, I, again, don't see a queen on this frame without having studied it for a long time. Thank you, ladies. Good job. Let's move on. Just remember, last time a lack of smoke got me in trouble, so we're smoking a lot today. Good, strong brood. Very nice. Can you see the pollens in the lower left?
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I was trying to get close to.
There's another couple of bees walking around with full pollen sacs. Yeah, they're still working on the outside frames. They're going to need more room. We're going to use the second brood box. We pretty much knew we were going to. Thought I saw a supersedure cell on the way. It's not. It's just a bee headstrong into one of the cells. There's a couple of them in there drinking the nectar or depositing it. I see larvae. I see young and old larvae. He's crawling on my finger. I don't know if that was in the video. Alright, let's do one more frame. I can already see the last frame. It's almost... I mean, there's bees on it, but there's not much work done on it. Okay, this pollen pad is going to fall as soon as I lift this frame. I need to reposition the remains that's full of bees. Guys, it will be better for you if you'd let me move. Good. Thank you, ladies. Well done. Oh, how'd you gonna run up and grab right where I was about to grab the frame? More carrying around of pollen, more drones, which I would be concerned about, but I don't see any other indicators. Swarming indicators, I mean. But not up in the corners where you would expect them if you were preparing to fly. Yeah. Alright, so, don't want to hurt anybody. We're going to add the second frame, it's the second box, and we'll be done with this. Alright, you're pretty safe for a while. They don't even know this. I mean, they're still exploring this box. So did not see an abundance of hive beetles, but I got the hive beetle traps in there just in case. Our bee space is pretty close. Okay, again, this is essentially our top cover. Granted, we still have that one, but we don't use it for those reasons right now. Let me put in the sugar water. We put in pollen patio on the second brood, on the second box, which is going to encourage them to build comb in the second box. The substitute pollen patty is actually really important for frame building, so I'm glad to give them that. This bee right here is trying to cheat. That's backing up. All right, so let's talk about this just for a sec. You are still rolling, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, so the Flow Hive 2, if used properly with the 2 levels, naturally tilts to the back. So it just makes the honey easier to extract. Therefore, the hive feeder needs to be on the back so that all the water, all the liquid in the pan is towards the ramp. Now, bees don't have any access to this space right here. What they do have is a small hole in the bottom of the cover, if you will. They can climb up it. It looks like 2 1x4s, and then up in the top there's a small ramp that leads down to where the water level is. So they don't actually get in the water. They climb down the ramp or the mesh. So they're perfectly safe as long as I don't, douse them while filling the water thing, which I didn't. So there's a little bit of drips up here, which is bad, but they don't need the super yet. They don't need this cover because this is a cover basically, but it'll keep pests out. So, any bees? No.
Nope.
Well, now there is. Do you mind? Not gonna close you in.
For me.
Can we come up here? Careful. Alright, well, it's kind of silly to smoke you for this. Oops, she found a glop of water. Nope, sorry, you're just going to have to go around. Like the rest of you. This is a queen excluder, is the standard Flow Hive queen excluder. The theory is you don't want any of the workers, you don't want the queen up in your supers, because then she starts laying eggs where you're trying to eat honey, which is fine, but it'll slow down your honey extraction because you'll have to wait for the brood to mature and then hatch and then leave, clean up the cell. Most of that takes about 21 days. It's not doing anything for us right now because, they don't even have access to it, but got to put it somewhere. Now, for some people, I'm not going to name names this time. I have disappointed you greatly in that I was not stung, not even once, during this procedure. So the previous updates to the sting count still stand. I am at 2. Kimberly is at 0. Mostly because I made more mistakes. Someone? No. Fits a lot better when the top cover is where the top cover belongs. There we go. That's all the way down. Doesn't feel right though.
It's just not What are we doing with this?
Yeah. So that's it for hive inspection number 2. We just moved the top cover back up just to make it all fit together a little better, and it wasn't doing anything here anyway. In the end, we've added the second brood box. It's going to give the bees more room. Now, bees will swarm for two reasons. They're out of space, or really that's about it. So either they're out of space because there's not enough room in the brood box, or they're out of space because they brought in too much food, or they're out of space because the queen is laying eggs just everywhere. Either way, adding a second brood box will take care of whatever swarming issues might have been brewing. I didn't see any secondary issues, so this was a precautionary, just in case kind of a thing. Now we're going to wait another 2 weeks or so to see how they do with the second brood box and see if they start occupying. Now, too much space is just as bad as not enough space, because if bees can't defend it, then predators will move in. Moths, wax moths, other such things. So that's it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or just call me, whatever. And I'll do what I can to answer whatever I can. Again, I'm not really here to teach anybody because I'm still learning myself, but I'm happy to share whatever little I know with whoever asks. Thanks much.